Hello, everyone, and welcome back to UE5 BP Guru. I'm going to be setting this up as a 24-part series of an hour-long episode, which is insane, I know. But I joined a game jam with a couple of buddies, and I kind of dropped the ball by basically not being able to work on the game jam. So I kind of produced nothing, and they kind of gave me an opportunity. Now I'm back into Unreal Engine, etc. That I could do mine late, even though they've already got their scores. So I've got 24 hours. My forfeit was that I get a completely new random role, and I had to take 3 categories. So I get a genre, and then 3 subjects or categories in which I had to include into the game. So I got automation, and I also got apocalypse. I also got time limit, and I also got giant. Lots of different ideas you could do from this. I have got my idea. I had a day of planning in which I kind of just sat down and was like, what the hell am I going to do for these 3 categories in 24 hours? And I've got my idea. You'll see it unfold as the 24 hours go on. If you decide to watch all of this, you may not only just see 5 minutes and be like, no, I'm not watching that. Up to you. And then at the end, they're going to score me. So I'm already counting the time. This video, the minute this video started, is my 60 minutes, my first 60 minutes. So without further ado, let's get down to it. So luckily, this kind of opening area is kind of near enough what I want to begin with, to be honest. I just don't need any of the extra bits. You'll notice I'll keep some things, but not all of it. Let's just get rid of all of this, though. I don't need any of it. No, I will get rid of that wall, but maybe not. Oh, I'll get rid of it. It's fine. And we'll get rid of that and the little cubes. I don't need any of this stuff. So I do want this platform. We're going to drop this here. So my play area is going to essentially be this, and the enemies is going to be this. You'll see why. This is basically going to go way up, but I'm thinking automation. We're going to have automatic attacking items. So like I'm going to probably just do like turrets that you start off with 1, and then eventually you can upgrade them, add more to last longer rounds. And we need some form of a resource to auto-produce money for us. We need a shop. We need our player to be able to run around in that space, and we need an enemy that is going to attack let's call it a base. The other thing I need to do is think about is time limit. So the time limit is going to be when the enemy attacks. So you have a certain amount of time. If the enemy attacks, you're going to lose 1 segment of health. And then, yeah, we're just going to do it like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this giant. So that's going to be all about giant information. I'm going to create another folder and call this turret. That's going to be all our turret information. And then everything else will basically run through the player. I'm going to need a widget to show everything. So let's just create a widget object. Blueprint widget. Blueprint widget. We're going to call this player. We're going to call this wid_player. If I could spell player HUD. Like so. We'll open that up and we'll deal with that in a moment. Because it's apocalypse, I kind of need to add that into the actual environment. That's not really something that I'm gonna add in. I feel like I'd be cheating if I just was like, oh well, it's set in an apocalypse, but I don't actually show any kind of stuff in the world. But we'll do that. So that's our widget. We're gonna deal with that in a moment because we're gonna have to be able to show stuff. We're going to go for giant. Let's create a blueprint class. I'm going to create a character. And this is going to be BP underscore giant. I'm going to call it master because I don't know if I'm going to add... If I have time, I'll add extra ones in. I don't think I'm going to have time, to be brutally honest. But we'll see how we get on. Now, I have a rough guideline of stuff I want to hit every hour. Some of them are incredibly easy, some of them are incredibly hard. For example, hour 1 was set up the project, which I had already pre-done, so that kind of, I feel like I kind of got away with that one. We're going to take this platform, we're going to move this to sort of here. We'll fine-tune it later. but I'm gonna have all my turrets along here. We can fancy it up down the line, but the idea is that the turrets will be along here shooting our wonderful giant. Now you're probably like, why didn't you put the platform down and just build from here? I could do that, but that means I gotta mess around with the kill line, which I could do, but I'm not going to. So here we go. Wonderful. And then we need to just basically set up the giant pretty much. So let's do that. That was hour one, was just setting up the giant. So I'm going to select this mesh. I am going to just pick our Manny for now. I think that's the easiest option. Where is our Manny? Come on. Oh, it's being slow, is it? This is going to waste some time. Manny, are you going to come? What are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? Oh, there we go. God, I am 10% through the first hour already. Jesus Christ, this is scary. I've got so much to do. And I haven't done a proper game jam in near enough a year and a half. When we did the meerkat one, I haven't done a proper game jam since then. So having the time constraints is a scary notion. I can't remember if this is 90 or minus 90. It's minus 90. Get rid of that. Minus 90. Right, okay. And then we're just going to use the Manny animation. There we go. This will change. If I have time, I will change this completely. I'll make a character, I'll put it through Mixamo, and we'll get a few different animations going. But for now, he's just going to stand there and look pretty, and that's fine. So the capsule is only at 1. I'm going to try 10. 10 and 10. Oh, dear Jesus. He's a big boy now. Times 10 might be enough just to kind of get us off on the ground running. I'm all over the place. Right, we'll just plonk him in here. Oh, my God, he's a big boy. He's not as big as I was thinking, though, but he is a big boy. Let's just face you 180. There we go. Oh my God, look at him. I feel like he needs to be bigger. I feel like he needs to be bigger, or I need to at least make everything smaller. I don't know. Let's. Do you know what? Let's just play with it. We've got all of this hour to play with the giant, so let's just go for it. Oh my sweet Jesus, he's huge. Okay, this should be good. He's huge. Look at him. I'm. Do you know what? I'm gonna go 25. I'm gonna go 25. I feel like that's the number. That's the sweet spot for our wonderful giant. Now he's gonna go up a bit because he's not quite far enough down, but that looks good. I feel that looks good to me. We need to bring him down a bit, I think, right? He looks fine here. So why is he looking weird there? Do you know what? We'll just do that, and if I press play, hopefully he's... There he is. Oh my God, look how big he is. He's huge. Okay. Okay, cool. Great. So now what I need to do is I need to drag all of these elements upwards. Because we kind of want him... basically, the idea is to make it look like we are in a building. Like so. I didn't bring this one up. Whoops. I'll just drag that up now. Okay, cool. So yeah, the idea is to make it look like... Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Oh, fantastic. That's just wonderful. I will bring it down just slightly. So if we again actually grab all the elements this time, and we'll drag him down a bit. Just to, if I get in this here, yeah, we go. Yeah, I think that should be good. This is fucking amazing. Oh my God. Okay, great. I'm super happy with that. Let's I just want to now drag these walls up a bit. Like so, just to make it feel like we are kind of in a bit of a bigger building. I think that's good. Okay, so I feel that's good. And then we'll put a roof on this, and then we'll put some pillars in, and we can stick the turrets in there. Apologies about that. Right, okay. So, yeah, we're just going to do this, I guess, right? Copy and paste this, drag that up. It's a bit dark. We can add some lights. It's okay. But the idea is, that is fantastic. I'm so happy with that already. Okay. Right. I'm gonna have to finagle this. Let's just do, just for a moment, let's just do unlit. Oh gosh, that's scary, but that's fine. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to drag it down, right down to make like little makeshift pillars. And we'll just cut out some space like that, bring that up. That looks really good. Very pleased with that. We'll just drag that to... I want to drag it out a little bit just to make it look like it's indented windows. I can always move it down and make it look a bit better. But I feel like we just need, I think space for 5 could be good. Or maybe we'll go 6. That looks pretty all right to me. I'm just going to add one to the end as well, just to make it marry up. Brilliant. That's just, oh gosh, don't grab anything else. Right, we'll drag all of these down now. And we'll come out to the outside of the window. We'll bring it down to here and drag it up. Oh, just fantastic. Right, I need to bring this up because otherwise if I spawn in, I'm falling through to the kill zone. There we go. And let's press play. It's weird how he jumps. I guess that's just something to do with the placement. And then we can go up the ramp. And oh my god, look at this. This is so funny. I need to add a load of stuff behind, but I love this already. Oh my god. Right, we're 12 minutes in. I'm wasting time messing around. Let's go back to the lit mode. Just so I can see that. There we go. I'll add some point lights in, I guess. Maybe just to mess with them around. Oh god, my details panel's been playing me up for ages. What is going on? Why can't I drag you down? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh god, why? There we go. That'll do. Right. We'll increase this to about 20 and we'll just make it... Oh, there we go. That's very good. Source radius. We'll just max all this out for now just so I can see what I'm doing. I'll sort the lighting out properly as we go. But for now, let's just add a couple in either side. And I might do 2 forward as well. There we go. Just so I can see what's going on. And then I might just bring the source length down a bit. Why can't I just drag you? 100. No, let's leave you about 200. Soft radius about 200. And then that one maybe about 500. There we go. That's a bit better. And now we can kind of see what's going on. I will do proper, like I said, I'll do proper lighting if I've got time. For now, though, this is just good enough to get us going. I'm going to drag it up a little bit just so it looks like it's actually kind of coming down. Why is this one? Oh, it's because these ones haven't been changed either. 200, 200. And then same for this one. 500, 200, 200. Is that one also need to be changed? No. No. Perfect. Oh, that's much better. Okay, we can actually see what we're doing now. So, I've set up a new project. I've created a flat test area. I've added in some placeholder meshes. I haven't done the turrets yet, but that's fine. And I've scaled up our lovely big giant here to be able to attack. So we need to now go into our giant master. So this is already into hour 2. We're 15 minutes in. I've done everything that I want to do in hour 1. This is great. Now our big boy here needs some health. So we're just going to give him a variable. And we're going to call this health. At standard, we need our big boy here to have enough health that we can basically take it away in the time limit. So I'm going to give everyone 1 minute per giant to kill. So we know that there's obviously 60 seconds in a minute. It needs to be less than that. So I'm going to do 30 for our starting health variable. So this is our current health. We don't need a max necessarily, but I'm going to use the max so I can store what what the last giant's health was. So 30 and 30. Because we're not necessarily going to destroy this actor. We're just going to keep upgrading him. We'll do the death animations and stuff, but he'll just keep getting back up, essentially, with more health, stronger than he was before. So we've got our giant's health in. We just now need to do this based on a wave. So if we're never going to destroy it, we might as well also store our wave information inside of him as well. So we've got our compile and save. We've got our current wave. So it's always going to start on wave 1, and then it will obviously increase depending on when he dies and stuff. So what we need to do is on event begin play, we don't need to do anything because he's just going to be there as it were. He's not going to change in any way. But what we do need to do is we need to create a custom event. And the custom event is going to basically be handled when he dies. So on death. So on death, we'll obviously eventually play a little animation montage. And then when he gets up, so we'll play another animation of getting up, he will then have all his health stuff. We'll do the health stuff first. So we're going to get a wave. So on death, we're going to increment that int so that it goes from 1 to 2. And then we're going to calculate his new health. So what we'll do is we'll get our max health, and we're going to multiply that by the wave. So if his max health's 30 as an example, and he goes on to wave 2, his next health will be 60. And then we're going to set both our max health and our current health. And then obviously the next wave will basically commence. So he gets basically a lovely brand new set of health, and you carry on, and you're on wave 2. So once that's done, what we also need to do is do another custom event, and this is going to be on take. No, we're not going to do it. We are not going to do that. That is a bad idea. What we're going to do is we're going to create a blueprint interface, and we're going to call this BPI underscore take damage. And we'll just open that bad boy up, and we're going to create a new function saying take damage. Nice and simple. And what we're going to take from that is we want an input of type float, and this is going to be incoming damage. Okay, compile that, and go to our class settings, and we will implement the take damage BPI. Wonderful. And that gives us this lovely new taking damage BPI. So what we're going to do is we're going to now basically just take from his health. So we're going to get our current health. We're going to minus this incoming damage, and then we'll set our what I will do is I will clamp the float, actually. Clamp float. Where are you? Clamp float. And the minimum is 0, and the maximum will always be the max health, like so. Not that max will ever do anything, but if you leave it as 1, it will obviously overwrite everything down to 1. So it's good to still have it. And then we're going to set that current health like so. Once we set that, we just need to see if it is equal to 0. If it is, we will call the on death. So the wave will end. We'll get a whole new health bar. Wave 2 will commence. You'll have the death animations and the getting back up animations, etc. And then, yeah, event take damage will just deal with the damage. We don't really need to do too much at this point. The only other thing is I might say we just need to set timer. So what we'll do is we'll create another custom event, and we'll call this begin timer. and we'll create a event, set timer by event. There we go. And it can start itself. It doesn't matter. What we want it to do is we want it to last 60 seconds. I don't want it to actually. I don't want it to happen on itself, because basically what it means is that when it fires, it'll just start the next timer. We don't want to do that necessarily. Actually, we just want it to begin the timer. We're going to promote this to a variable, and we're going to call this loop. We'll call it loop timer, and then we'll create another custom event, and we'll call this attack stronghold. Like so. So what we'll do is here is we're gonna begin timer. Okay, I had to pause the timer. So 21 seconds we're down at the moment. 21 minutes to say when we're down at the moment. So as I was saying, yeah. So we're on the event begin time of it on the event begin play. We want the begin timer to start. What this does is it counts down from 60 seconds, and then we eventually will attack the stronghold, or the giant will attack the stronghold. So what we need to do is we need to kill it before this timer takes place. So what we can do is on death, we can clear and invalidate the timer, like so. Obviously, it gets its new current health, and then we're going to begin timer again. So yeah, so every time the giant dies, we're going to increment the wave. We multiply its health by the wave amount, which will give it its new health. We then clear and invalidate the timer, which is obviously still counting down. So if you had 20 seconds left and you finally kill it, you don't want to then have 20 seconds left to kill the next one. So we clear it off. We say no more timer, and then we begin the next timer, which will be a fresh 60 seconds on the next giant. Cool. Obviously, if it gets down to 60, we will need to deal with this shortly. But basically, on the player, we'll have a stronghold health bar, which will be like 5 hits and you lose, or something, or 3 hits and you lose. Maybe you can increase it. But every time the giant hits it, it will reduce it. So that's kind of pretty much it for the giant at the moment, other than adding in animations and stuff. We just need to go into our third person character, and we'll start working on that now. So we've got our timer, we've got our health system for the giant setup. The player controls I'm pretty happy with for the now. I just need to add in the strong hold health. We need that to be in integer, actually, not a float, because it's not going to have health as such. It's going to have basically a set amount of hits, and then you're dead. That's kind of what I'm going for. Excuse me. Apologies if I cough a lot at the moment. I've got a bit of a cold, and I don't really want to edit these videos because I feel like that's cheating. So I'm going to try not to edit too much. So if you hear me coughing, I apologize. It's just where I'm talking a lot, and it's causing me to cough. Now, depending on how far I get into this, we may need a stronghold health max, because if I want to heal my stronghold using monies, I will need that value. So we're going to have 5 to begin with. It might be too much. It depends on how hard the game gets as you go down. But we have a stronghold health. We have stronghold health max as well. We're also going to need monies. So we're just going to call it monies. All bases will start with 0, and then as you kill these things and as you buy resources and stuff like that, you'll be able to essentially grow your monies. Okay, so hour 2 is add the giant's HP system and make a timer, which I've done both of those. We're technically on hour 3, so that says create a turret unit that automatically shoots. Deal damage to giant on hit. Let's finish off the giant first. I've got some time. We are only like 25 minutes in, so that is not looping, by the way. That shouldn't loop, and you'll see why in a moment. So I'm going to create next a blueprint function library. And we're going to call this bpf underscore player. This should probably, it is in the third person, I'm sorry. Player casts. So this is just a library of stuff that if I just want to call some stuff um, to save myself. Third person character cast. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Cast to third person character. Get player character. And then we'll do a return, and that'll be third person character object reference, and we'll just plug that in. It just means that I don't have to keep putting this in there, and I can just call it a lot quicker. So, where am I going? Back to the Giant Master. I'm going to cast my third person character cast. Oh, it needs to be changed. It does need to be a pure cast, if I remember correctly. There we go. So, oh, let's just change that to third person character ref. Compile, and then now it should look right. There we go. So I'm going to get stronghold health, and I'm going to subtract this by 1, and then I'm going to also set stronghold health and plug that in like so. You'll probably like screaming and be like, this is so messy, and it is. It's going to be very messy, I'm sorry, but at the same time, speed's the name of the game, right? So yeah, so we get our stronghold health. Again, there will be an anim montage put in here, so he does the actual motion of attack. But okay, basically the third person cast will call the stronghold -1 of the health, and then what I'm going to do is something a bit cheeky, but basically, if they get to the end, their health will go back to full. So their current health goes back to the max, and we basically call the begin timer again. So as things get harder, you're going to really have to try your hardest to keep the damage you're dealing up. You're going to really need to improve that as time goes on, because otherwise, eventually these giants will get too strong for you to be able to stop them doing just basically killing your stronghold off in 5 minutes. You've probably noticed this kind of gameplay layout in a lot of mobile idle games. I'm thinking of that bean one where the beans would run over to the different monsters, and like they would die, and you'd have to make more, and then you have a time limit in order to kill them, otherwise they just regen. In those games, you don't die if they regen, but obviously this there has to be some form of a gameplay loop, beginning and end. So hopefully I'm going to cover all of those things off though using this method. So that's our giant pretty much done. So he'll reduce the stronghold down, and then his current health will begin timer. Now I want to do a check. Yeah. Is the stronghold equal to 0? Because if it is, I obviously want the game to end. So eventually I'm going to have to be like, okay, losing screen comes up at the top there, because the timer won't continue on. It'll just end the game. There'll be like a menu that comes up saying, you lost. Would you like to restart or go back to the main menu? All that sort of stuff. Well, that will be added in. Okay. We're wasting time, so let's not do that. We're nearly at the halfway mark of our first hour, so that looks all good to me for the most part. Let's just tidy this up a little bit. So event begin play. I'm just going to go through it one more time before I move on. Event begin play. We begin our timer. Our timer counts down from 60, and we are setting that loop timer so I can call that on our widget at some point to show the countdown. Then when it gets to 0, we attack the stronghold, and we remove 1 health from our stronghold health. And if we get to 0, we're going to end the game. But if not, we'll just re-put the giant's health back to its max and begin the timer again. We're going to take damage. We're going to get the giant's current health and minus off whatever income and damage is coming in. Their max health is the driver of the clamp. Current health equals to 0. If that's true, we do our on death. And on death, we increase the wave counter. We times its max health by the wave counter, and we set that up to be the max health and the current health. We loop. We clear the loop timer, and then we re-begin it so it starts back from 60. That all should be correct in my brain. Save all. That's a lot of stuff to save. So at this point, I forgot that I didn't turn my mic back on because I was off dealing with some things like the kids and stuff. So I was talking away here, and yeah, basically nobody could hear what I was saying. So I'm just gonna briefly kind of talk over this footage so that you can kind of gauge an idea on what I was actually doing. But for the most part, I probably will get it completely wrong. I don't even know what I was doing here. I'm just sort of sat on this page. And then I think that the idea was I was going to put an input in here for interaction. But actually, it turns out I didn't need an input for interaction. And the reason I don't need an input for interaction is because I'm going to use it a series of collision overlaps and using the button of E to kind of do and stuff for the most part. And things like interacting with the shop as well will all be done via an E input, which doesn't need to actually be on the player. So I moved on to doing my turret. So as you can see, I'm setting up my BP turret. Yeah, it's basically just a bit. I didn't want to just add in a generic one cube. I wanted to make something marginally better. So we kind of mess around here for a little bit. I also set up the material for. Sorry, I created a blueprint interface. No, I don't. I set up a projectile blueprint actor for projectile as well. So we do that. And for that, we do just add in. I can't honestly tell what I'm doing here. I don't know whether I'm doing the projectile or not. Yes, I add in a static mesh. Here we go. And for that one, I call it projectile. We add in the static mesh, and we add in a capsule. Because we don't need anything too crazy. It just needs to be something that you can see visually to show the bullets kind of flying to the giant. Again, we're not going for AAA here. We're just going for fast and working. So I reduced the size a little bit, just so that it's small enough to kind of look like an actual kind of bullet going off. You could almost say it's like a cannon bullet because it's like a capsule and it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, it just needs to look good. And then we create a new material for that projectile. And again, it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It just needs to work. So we open it up, and it just needs to have kind of like a color and an emissive. Excuse me. So you'll see me add a constant 3 in, which is obviously just for the color. I grabbed 2 by accident. I didn't mean to get 2. But we just set it to like a kind of orangey color. And it kind of goes in as your base color, and then we times it by 100, I believe, just to get that emissive feel to it. So times it by 100, and then we get a nice orange glow. In all honesty, I didn't think this was going to work when I was doing this, but obviously it worked out perfectly. It was exactly kind of what I was wanting. And then we just apply that to the projectile. Yeah, we get that glowing kind of capsule effect, which is exactly what we wanted. Perfect. It just looks like a bullet. I could have made it longer. I could have made it a little bit more interesting, but again, time is of the essence in this challenge. I only have 24 episodes, 24 hours to get this done. And at this point, we're well past the halfway point of the first hour. In all honesty, I talk about it later. I'm sure I do, but I'm very impressed with how much I got done in this first hour. I really didn't expect it, to be honest. But Yeah, really, 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 really cool. Very, very pleased with this first hour. Uh, and yeah, that kind of gives us exactly the effect we want. And then it was kind of just about adding in that projectile movement, which of course we just I think if I remember correctly we set it to 100 to begin with, and then we just deal with the actual code side of things, which was just projectile to actually kind of hit the enemy and do some damage. That was the basic idea about it. Um, so yeah, we get the does object implement interface. So the idea was is that we can get it to check against that take damage BPI we made, and that way it will only do damage or anything basically against the giant and nothing else, because nothing else is going to have that take damage BPI. Only the giant will have that, so it means we can utilize that in the sense of dealing damage. It's a beautiful way of dealing damage in games, is if you have a BPI, just because it bypasses any other need for checks and stuff. You can just say, does it have this? Yes, then it can take some damage. Done. And we're golden. We also add in a variable for current damage, which we just plug into there. I spoke about how I'm going to scale up the damage for both health and the player's damage, and basically we'll use the shop for that essentially. But you'll use cash, and it will. I'm planning on basically tripling it. Look, I'm not going to get this thing balanced perfectly for a release, but um, as long as it does what we want it to do. So, um, so yeah, I spoke about that, and I've just said about the enemy's damage. Obviously, every time it dies, it doubles, so it goes like from 30 to 60 to like 180, and then it's like 500. So you're gonna need to make sure you're putting some money into actually doing up the turret's damage if it's only going to do 10. I might increase it, but I just think for the first one, it's gonna be a little bit iffy um scaling that up. So I need to kind of play around with it, because you don't want to give it 60 damage and then have it kill the first giant in one hit. That just doesn't make sense. So we need to scale that up somehow. So yeah, we go back to, we just basically save it and move on, because that's all done. Um, and then we're on to, what else do we do? I can't. I'm trying to remember what I did. I probably should have watched this before I actually did the voiceover, but I thought it was a bit more natural. Um, Oh yes, then we open up Blender. So that was the other thing I was talking about. I didn't really just want it to be a cube, and then a cube just fires stuff out. I thought that was a little bit lazy. Don't get me wrong; it doesn't get much better than it's just a slightly fancier cube. There we go. Yeah, I was like, what's going on there? Why is it just a gray screen? It's because Blender was loading in. So yeah, so I wanted it to be something a little bit slightly fancier than just a plain old cube. It's now a cube with some indents and bevels, and a fancy little aiming kind of, what's the word? A barrel, like you get in a barrel of a gun or a turret. Uh, but yeah, so enjoy my Blender escapades here. I'm no modeler. I really am not. I'm getting better, but this was obviously we're in crunch time. If I have any extra time, then maybe I could add a little bit more detailed stuff, but for the most part, modeling takes me a long time, and with 24 hours, it's not going to be anything special. So, yeah, please enjoy my terrible, terrible looking turret for now, and hopefully we'll get something a little bit more interesting when time goes on. So, yeah, so it is very basic. um, I I do, like I said, I add some extra bevels in and stuff in places, but it's not going to be anything special. Um, but yeah, uh, I do get rid of this bevel, by the way. This bevel, I want to add a few basically, and when you bevel something, you can insert a face, or you can also do cuts, like loop cuts, like I'm doing now, when it's not, when the topology is basically off, and bevels do tend to mess your topology up. So I had to kind of revert it, and then kind of add in those loop cuts like so, and then rebevel basically the sides. Um, yeah, I had another. I can't remember why I did that, to be honest. It didn't really affect the end product too much. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but um, my idea was I was gonna add in a little face like that, and then I was like, well, that doesn't really work, does it? So I ended up inserting another face just to get the slight effect that I wanted. Like I said, I am not a modeler. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are watching this going, "Oh my god, what have you done?" But I didn't really have much of a choice other than what I actually did. So yeah, like I said, if I was doing this for real, I'd take more time and kind of decide what I wanted to. To be honest, I wasn't even thinking of going for turrets. I was thinking, you know, ballistic arrow kind of turrets, like those ones where it's like a big arrow, it pulls back, fires the arrow, rinse and repeat. I was thinking of doing something like that, but then I was like, time is just not on my side. There's just no chance in hell I'm gonna get this done. If I spend too long trying to build an arrow from scratch. So yeah, so we ended up with whatever this thing is. It's not it's not a turret. It's definitely not a turret. It's the box with a stick on it. To be honest, I didn't even color it either. It's just pure horrible white. But at least I have something there, and I'm able to then build upon that. So, like I said, if I want to go back and spend any extra time doing some models up, I can do that. I have some extra time to actually do that. But for now, it is what it is. I guess. Yeah. So yeah. So with that, we kind of basically we're just like, okay, we'll drag that in, and yes, as a modeling point. Um, yeah, and then we kind of just drag it in. It's a little big, so we're kind of like, I basically decide to drag it into the world just to see how big it actually is, and it is ridiculously big. It it looks awful. Like this thing just looks like it shouldn't be able to pivot, and we just pivot around to our own wherever we want, basically. Um, so yeah, it's a turret, I guess. But if you look at it, it doesn't even feel like it fits the vibe, to be honest. And yeah, we're gonna go with it. It's fine, right? What why worry about the basics right at this point? We're 40 minutes in. It's not we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to make a game jam game that kind of does all right. Um so yeah, I reduced the size down to like 0.7. I just thought oh, was it 0.5? I think that was too small when I looked at it. I also realized that I hadn't dragged in the actual BP turret. I dragged in the regular turret, so I had to obviously redo that as well. Yeah, and I'm like, this is a bit small, so we just revert it back to its other size, the zero point 0.7. I think, like I said, I changed it to 0.7 in the end, and then we drag it back a bit. Um, so yeah, that was that 0.7 on all of the sizes, and we kind of just put it into a good place, and we're happy with that. The next kind of goal really is just to get the turret shooting the giant, basically, because we don't want to we need that gameplay loop, right? So the turrets, we need them to automate now. We need them to start shooting the giants to die, to gain more health, for the turrets to carry on shooting them, etc., etc. Um, which we pretty much get. So what we need to do here now is we add a billboard, and that is going to essentially be our spawn location for the bullets, the projectiles. Um, so yeah, so they'll basically fire every second is the idea, and we just need to get them to spawn at the billboard and end up in the face of the giant. God, my brain's not working. I've just done an hour straight of this, and I've this is probably the fastest I've ever worked, so my brain's trying to keep up with exactly what I did. I probably did some stuff wrong. There's going to be some stuff that I'm going to have to go back over and repeat, I'm sure. But to get the gameplay loop down in 1 hour, it's not bad. That's pretty good. I just got to end the game now, and the gameplay loop's there. Essentially, once the giant can eventually win, we've got our gameplay loop. Because we can just keep attacking it forever, and eventually the giant will win. It will win eventually. There's no doubt about that. It's more of a how long can you survive now, that rather than how do you win? It doesn't work like that. And then it's adding charm, and then it's adding like the shop and all the extra bits in. So, yeah, I think for 1 hour we're well away. We're 45 minutes in at this point. Actually, we're not an hour. I've done the hour, but at this point, um, I think we're catching back up to where I actually realized I needed to put my mic on. We're basically at this point where we're setting up the fire projectile stuff in the actual turret itself. So yeah, I will basically let you just kind of watch what I'm doing, and eventually I will begin to start talking in the next sort of 30 seconds to a minute. But yeah, setting up the event timer so that we can actually fire the projectiles, and we kind of change it between a minute and 2 seconds, just so it's a little bit more interesting. It's not all so uniform. But yeah, anyway, thanks guys. If you're new here, subscribe before you carry on watching. Thank you so much. I've just realized I've been talking for so long without actually having my microphone on. So you've probably missed the last 16 seconds of me rambling, but just seeing me working. That's really bloody helpful. So I'll voice over it. It's fine. You're probably like, what are you on about? Yeah, I turned it off. So, God, I've lost my train of thought now. So, event begin play, random floating range between 1 and 2 seconds. I feel that just gives it a little bit of variety, and then it's going to fire a projectile. And we need to get the billboard location. So we need to do a line trace by channel. The start is going to be get location, get world location, should be fine. And the end location is we're going to do a, we'll drag that up there for a second. Get all actors of class, and it's going to be giant. Get, and we've only got one giant in the world, so we don't need to do anything much with that. Get world location of the mesh. That's fine. Plug that in. So it's gonna start with the billboard is, finish with the giant is, and then we'll break that hit result. No, wait. We don't want to do that necessarily. We want to, I'm gonna have to do a bit of research on this, I think, again, because my brain's not working, but we want to spawn actor from class. That actor is going to be our projectile. We need to sort out the spawn transformation. Like that. And we're going to break this to get... We need to basically work out the rotation of the fire. Okay, let's just see what happens for a second. It's obviously not going to work. I just want to see if it actually does spawn the... So yes, it is spawning them. And they only last 2 seconds for some reason. Why is that? Why does they only last 2 seconds? Oh, that's so random. Okay, so it is spawning. So every 1 to 2 seconds, it's spawning a projectile. Does the billboard. Does the billboard get world location? We get all actors of the giant, which is obviously the end point of that trace. We're not doing anything with that trace at the moment, but it is spawning them, and then they just drop. So, where's our projectile? Did I close the projectile? I think I did. BP projectile. We want the projectile movement. So the initial speed is 100. That's 1,000 now. Projectile gravity scale. Let's put 0 on there. Just to see what happens when I click start. Oh! Yeah, dude. Oh, no, I jumped off. Oh, I thought I jumped off then. Okay, so it's firing. Good, good. Next thing we want is to go in our giant master. We want to click our capsule, no, our mesh component, and we'll check its collision. To do custom, and it ignores pawns, but I want it to allow, I want it to block them. Let's see what happens. Okay. So it's hitting him. It is hitting him. So what I want to do now, so it could be working, but because I haven't got any widgets set up, I don't actually know if it's doing anything that it should be doing. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is, once it does this, I'm going to say destroy. Come on, computer. Destroy actor. Like so. So that basically if I test this now and they disappear, I know that they're hitting the giant, right? And potentially dealing damage and potentially starting new waves and stuff. Till we get the widget. I think the next hour is going to be all about looking at the widget, getting the widget working, to see if it's actually doing what it should do. Okay. So is it destroying them? No. So it's not actually hitting anything. Even though it should, in theory, be hitting something. So projectile. It blocks everything, so that's not the issue, and it simulate generate hits for sure. Compile. Where's our giant master? So the mesh is ignoring visibility traces, so it shouldn't do that anyway. And it should block everything. It should generate overlap events and should generate hit events. So maybe that was the problem. Let's see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got 6 minutes left, so we've got enough time to just debug this a little bit. If not, we'll debug it in the next one. Right, okay, so what we shouldn't see now is any more bullets, which we still see bullet. Oh, I'm going to jump off. Is it just too close to... I think it's just too close to see. It is definitely hitting that mesh, so maybe if I bring him back a little bit, I don't think that's going to be the fix, to be honest. Or maybe I just do it off the capsule component, but I didn't really want to do that because it would look like it's hitting way too soon. Okay, so still not doing what I want it to do. Maybe it's the on component hit. Does it hit something? BP hit, yes. So is it using the take damage? The giant is using the take damage. Yes, it does. So that's not the issue. So that should come back true, and then it should say take damage, destroy actor. So I'm going to just put some print strings in to say checking hit and on component hit projectile. And then we'll just say print string. I just want to know if it's false. That's what I want to know. Doesn't implement compile. Third person's thing. Let's check. Okay. So seemingly it's not even doing the check. Okay. on this one, so it's all blocking. So basically, it's not getting the hit reference. I've only got 4 minutes. Let's try something slightly different. Let's see if I can get it working through a sphere. We'll just put in sphere. Sphere collision, and we'll attach it to the projectile. Let's just go to the viewport. That seems to be a little big. We'll make it slightly smaller. That's better. And then right. Sorry about that. I have my kids around today, so it's probably not the best day to start this, but they're fine like cat and dog. Okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, so sphere, we'll get this on component hit instead, and see if this picks up, because it's obviously more inclined to get collision collision things. We'll try it with the sphere instead and see what happens. Okay, do we get it there? Apparently not. We're gonna run out of time. We're gonna run out of time. Let's try on begin overlap. Let's give it a go and just see. We'll get the sweet result for that instead and see what happens. And then we'll just need to change the mesh allows overlap with pawns and visibility, and see what happens there instead. Oh, there we go. Doesn't implement. So it's saying it doesn't implement that. Okay, so that could be the collision. Hang on then. So next thing I want to check. So what it could be doing is it could be hitting the capsule component and saying, oh, that doesn't implement it. But then it hits the mesh and it's like, oh, it does implement that. And then that's why it disappears. So what I'm going to do is one final check before we sign off in 1 minute's time is get this print string and just chuck it in here and say, does implement. And we'll know for sure. And then we know that our turrets are doing damage. And then we can spend the next hour doing all the widgets. We have 50 seconds. Does implement. Yeah, let's go, baby. It's very frame ratey, but it's fine. It's not about perfection. It's about getting the code in place. So we are technically hitting our giant right now. He's obviously not reacting. He's obviously not dying. But the idea is that he is getting shot, at least. I just want to see. It doesn't look like it's actually hitting from this angle. Why can't I see it from this angle? Oh, so it's stopping when it hits the... But why from behind the pillar can I not see it? What? That's weird. Okay, that's for another episode anyway, because we're out of time. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this hour-long nonsense video of my game jam. And I will continue on in the next video with the next hour. We've got 23 hours remaining. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Much love. Take care. Bye.